How can I simplify tracking my lifts but still track them? In the past I tried tracking them directly on my Garmin watch, tracking them in workout app Strong, and before this in Excel. So now here is the current state of the art, at least when it comes to me. What I have now done is I simplified this workout. So I do 3 sets of each exercise. This could be, in this case, the incline barbell bench press. Then I only record the first set now. Previously, both basically after tracking after the fact or after the training, as well as tracking in training with my Garmin watch, I usually try to track all the exercises and all the sets. Now, I still try to track all the exercises, at least the ones that are kind of the core workout, that does not change from day to day. I train 3 times the same thing in a week, and then I do layer additional things on top, which I usually now also not track. Now, today I basically had this workout on my watch, and then to get basically the cardiovascular tracking into the watch, I then track my workout on my Garmin. What I do then afterwards is that I now go in and I click on edit, and these are now all my 1 rep maxes for these exercises, or at least not exactly the 1 rep maxes, but what I have been doing as of the last time I updated basically these weights. So for the first set, this is kind of the maximum weight I had used before I tracked. And then I paused for a bit because I actually moved, and then I was in a different gym, and I realized I need to track again. So now I go in and I only track basically the first set, because the first set is usually, so I'm drop setting usually, which means that I start with the highest weight, then go lower and lower. And I also do antagonistic sets at the same time, so I'm supersetting. Which now means I can, if I track basically the first set, and I also maybe only track 1 repetition. So if I only track 1 repetition, then I'm basically allowing myself to still track the exercises, but I'm tracking the most important thing, which is my 1 rep max of this exercise. So basically I have 1 number then for this exercise, and it doesn't really matter what the second or third set is. Now there could be a slight psychological effect similar to not tracking at all, where I then don't care that much about increasing how much reps I do on the second and on the third set. But also tracking is a lot of work, and so maybe what I will be doing is that I just click on 1 on all of these exercises, even though this is already quite a little bit of work, and then I just enter the weight I have used for the first set in the gym. So for today, for example, I still have a little bit of a problem with my shoulder, which does not go away, so I had to reduce the weight here. So my max incline bench press, I don't know, is maybe around 90 kilograms or something like this. And so today I used the barbell itself, which has 20 kilograms, and then I used 20 kilograms on each side, so I did it, I think, with 60. Now, the barbell back squat is currently also a little bit of an injury thing, and so I started out with 3 5er plates on each side, which means 15, 30, and then 20, which means that I pressed basically 50 on the barbell back squat. Now, then the barbell deadlift, and this is now, of course I think I did more exercises, not more exercises, but more repetitions on the incline barbell bench press and also on these others, but I want to keep it simple. I want to maintain basically tracking throughout the year, and even if there is additional stress, which often seems to be there. Now, in terms of the barbell deadlift, this is, for example, something that I really noticed. My 1 rep max here is about 115 kilograms, maybe it's 117.5, and I have not tracked it properly. I don't really know at this point in time. But at least the 115 I kind of know for certain. And what recently I have been doing in terms of the barbell deadlift is I have only been doing, I think, around 80 or something like this, which is also what I today did. So let's see, I did 20 kilograms plus 10 kilograms on each side multiplied by, so I had the barbell, then on one side 10, 10, 5, 5, which in total should be 30 kilograms, 60, 80 kilograms. So basically I'm 35 kilograms away from my 1 rep max, and I have been training like this now for weeks without really noticing it, because it was different plates in the different gyms, and sometimes I did count, but I did not have it like written on sheet of paper, or in this case tracked in Garmin. Now behind the back shrug, this is a triple set. So I do have basically the same weight for all of these 3 exercises, which also means I have not been close to my 1 rep max on standing barbell calf raise and also on the behind the back shrug. Now overhead barbell press is again because I had this or have this shoulder injury, not that high, so I started I think with 10 with 10 on each side plus the 20. So this would be 20 in total plus 20. So I had 40 kilograms. No, this is the wrong one. 40 kilograms here. What I also noticed is if I track this on the web, on Garmin Connect web, that this is way more difficult to enter compared to the phone because the numbers are smaller and so I mistype, and also the comma. I do speak German, but I enter the comma in this case also in German, because in German you use the comma like this instead of the point as in English. It's kind of weird. So on the web it's also some slightly different, and I cannot really put the point in there or something like this. Barbell row, I usually use the same weight as the overhead barbell press, or do an additional 10 kilograms on each side or 5 kilograms on each side. So in this case I think I let 10 additional kilograms on each side, so the row should be 60, even though I would say this was not a really clean row. Now the weighted pull-up, I started today out with 35 kilograms, and this is also something I again noticed, that I have not been tracking, and so I have not been basically pushing myself that hard. Of course you think, oh yeah, you go to the gym and then you push yourself a little bit and then it's okay. But at the end of the day, if I don't track my weight, or if I do track my weight, let's say it like this, then what I notice is that in the gym, I just try the next weight. I just put a little bit of additional weight on there, and then of course it takes a little bit more time, but then I also increase my 1 rep maxes over time. Bar holds is something that I have cut out. I don't know how I do this right now. Do I click on edit? Yeah, and delete this set. Mostly because it took additional time. So I had a bar hold which also included the dip weight and the pull-up weight, and I would do it after the fact, but I would have to rack the weight again onto the chain, which took an additional time, and I also found it quite hard to track how long I could hold this. So basically this was to target the lower arms, and yeah, well, I cut it out as of the last couple of weeks. At least in the new gym I have not started. Dumbbell biceps curl, I was at 27.5 kilograms and currently I'm doing 18 kilograms, which is ridiculous because, well, what happened? I also had to stop creatine for a couple of weeks, and then also some months actually again. Dumbbell lateral raise, due to my shoulder issue, I did 4 kilograms today. It's so ridiculous. Dumbbell row, I did, I think, the 20 kilograms, and it seems that this is actually has not changed that much. The shrugs I did today again, because I tried to push myself, I think either with 40 or 42 kilograms, but I can't remember. Now, if it is the case like this, that I cannot remember, then I have to put in the lowest number. So I have to make a conservative guess and not put in something that I think that I could have lifted, but maybe then I didn't. So I put in the 40 because I'm kind of sure I did at least 40, even though I think I did the 42. If I'm unsure, then I have to put in the 40. The weighted crunch now, I'm sure, because I actually took a look at the kettlebell which I use for the weighted crunch, and it has 28 kilograms. Now the weighted lying straight leg raise I did with 0 kilogram, and I have been not able to properly do a straight leg raise now for a couple of weeks because my lower core seems to just not regenerate, and so I still try to do the ab exercises, but I'm terrible at them. Now the kneeling ab wheel, so there is no normal ab wheel without kneeling, so I have been using this exercise instead of the actual exercise, which I at least targeted and also performed a couple of times, at least in the last 2 years. But I usually do the kneeling ab wheel, and today I did maybe one good exercise, so I just put in one, but no additional weight. But this is actually now the weight section, so I put in just one exercise because, well, I could also put in 0 and still let the exercise in there. I don't know exactly. Weighted leg raise, I also did not do a proper one, and additionally I usually had actual weight additionally. Basically I tried with additional weight, at least in the last gym, and currently I have not. So I have 0, and I actually did not do a proper weighted hanging leg raise. In the case of the kneeling ab wheel, I should probably also put in a 0 because it was not a properly done exercise. This now means I only have these couple of exercises. I did a few additional ones. I also used a couple of the Technogym machines in my gym, which now, very luckily, at least if I log in with my band, and if I use these smart exercises, then what I can do, not smart exercises, but these smart machines, that at least the ones where I can log in, then I do have an activity log, and then this activity log is basically including all the training I did and all the sets I did. at least given I basically log in to the Technogym machines. Now, since I rarely use the plate-loaded machines, I tried them today, but I again saw that this was taking just so much time to load it with plates. So what I often do is just not use the plate-loaded machines, but the normal machines. And then these additional sets I do are now actually tracked, because the gym I now go to basically has these Technogym machines, which automatically, at least if I log in, basically track the weight as well as the reps. And this is something I could only have wished for. I wanted proper tracking for so long, and this now still takes maybe 10 minutes. And it would take me even longer, basically, with trying to remember all of the exercises, and then also remembering all the exercises would often mean that basically I did not have it properly tracked, but I only had to make conservative guesses, and so I did not really progress, or at least there was also this issue of tracking. And also, of course, the time. If I work out for 30 or 40 minutes and then I spend an additional 15 minutes tracking the exercises, and it's mentally really draining because I have to remember basically maybe 30 sets or something like this with the weight I used and so on. It just was mentally really draining. And so maybe I have a solution now in which I basically track the main lifts, mostly the barbell and dumbbell exercises in Garmin, not on my watch. Maybe I also try tracking them again on my watch, and then basically in the first set I would click. So maybe on the first set I would click actually onto the exercises on my watch. So I have this workout stored on strength training, and then I have it called 0 because then it is basically the one on top. And then if I start this here, then all the exercises are basically in the order in which I have them. Now, one problem is sometimes the machine in the gym is occupied. So the first thing is rowing. Currently I do assault biking because the rowing machine is broken. And then I basically have these different exercises, and then I already have only basically the first set in here now. And this would mean that if I have now done this, that afterwards I could actually track this. But it seems to be the case that this does not work, because I did basically also delete the rest times. And only if there is a rest time, you can actually put in the sets and the reps basically manually on the watch.